Hello, hello.
Hey, everybody. Sick lettering on there. Welcome to this week, and I guess like the last 3 weeks. What the heck?
What the heck's been going on with what the heck?
I've been working on other stuff, and I'm bad at scheduling. Really, it's mostly the latter.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah,
this only takes like 30 minutes to set up.
I was scrambling to get on. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it in time.
I'm glad you did. I want to see what you did to your phone. That thing looks super rad. Hey Benjamin. Hey AJ.
It's my.
It's so cool. Does it still light up, or did I break down the shipping?
No, it still lights up. It's hard to see with the. I've got my light on.
Oh yeah.
But it still lights up.
Yeah. Yep. That is a Hex 7 special. If you send me your phone, I will make it into a microphone. I will not guarantee how good it will work or that it will work, but I will try. Hex 7 Industries.
Yeah, I found the little Easter eggs in there.
I kind of forgot about that, but I wish. Actually, I think I showed people on the live stream when I was building it. But one of my favorite things about that phone period is that there's like 3 stacked metal plates on the wall mount to add weight to it so that it doesn't slide around too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost destroyed it getting it open because I didn't see those hidden screws under the tiny little label. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I ran into the same thing when I was trying to get inside of it just to check it out.
You know what's funny is like I actually have experience like with this one, with this one. I guess I forgot to put those screws back in there. Yours is all good, but this one, somehow those screws evaporated, so like I was using it one time during a stream and it like fell in half in my hand. So now it's just got some electric tape holding it together, which is perfect.
That works, yeah.
Yeah, so what's new with you?
Not much other than my emergency phone, the hotline, EMS hotline.
EMS hotline. That is sick. I like the lettering. That's way better than what I would have done. Mine would have looked like my dog drew something on it. Like.
So, it was actually really hard, and I had initially gone for it was going to be my what the heck phone for WTH. So
yeah.
I put on the T in the middle, and then I put on the H and the W. I messed up in the placement and trying to pull it back, it ripped, and of course, it came with a pack of letters. Like almost everything is doubled up, but there's the W. There's only one of.
Well, that's because who uses W?
Right. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the effort, but it looks pretty dang rad with EMS on there. That's a good combo of letters.
Yeah, yeah. So that's new, and what I actually have it connected to the little. How do you pronounce the Bastl? BASTL.
That's how I say it. I don't know.
I always think of it. It's like maybe is it like Castle or Bastl?
Yeah, I think it's Bastl. Like that's how I say it. I pronounce the T. It's probably wrong, but it's fine.
Right, but I have it going into the dude mixer, which then goes. Right now, I have it going into my AI synthesis stomp box adapter, and that's how I'm bringing it into my modular case.
That's cool. Can you just go straight into the stomp box adapter, or does it need extra gain?
That's a good question. I didn't try that just because I was also trying to get another microphone in the system, so that's why I was using the little dude mixer.
Got it.
But I haven't gotten that to work right.
I wonder if there's like a, because the second I connected this phone by picking it up, my mic cut out. Yeah, see, like it gets weird. I don't know if there's some issue with that. So
yeah,
I just only noticed that now because I never use them both at the same time.
So Schmooster's saying he doesn't pronounce the T. Bastl.
No, it's Bastl. Like the Bastl Castle.
Like castle.
It's like how I say mountain. I don't say the T. You just kind of pause there for a second.
Right. But what I was trying to do is somehow get it so then I can use it during this broadcast as well, and that's what I'm having some problems with. But that's I think on my laptop side of things.
Okay, well I can tell you how my current setup is, and I've done it with both the Bastl Dude and this other crappy mixer that I'm not going to mention because I don't want anyone to buy it. Not that anyone would buy it because I said it, but it's just a bad mixer. But what I've been doing lately that makes my life way easier, instead of like trying to do loop back and stuff on the Mac, I just take an audio cable out of the Mac, go into like my secondary little mixer like the Bastl Dude. I take an audio out of my main mixer and also go into there, and then that goes into these headphones. Which is how I do it, so that I can hear you without there being like any audio coming from the laptop going through my main mixer, because my main mixer is going into the computer.
Okay. So I gotta get audio from my mixer also going through the Bastl.
Right. So I would send your audio from all the like your main mixers into the Bastl, and I also and the computer as well, so that you can hear the computer, and then that's what you're getting through your headphones, and then the microphone you can put wherever you want in that mix somewhere.
I see. Okay, I'll have to play with that then.
There's probably a more elegant solution, but I tried software and there was always like a little bit of lag between my talking, so I just got fed up and was like,
right.
Use these other mixers that I don't use that often. I did get a chance to put this bad mamma jamma Bastl Dude to work a couple weeks ago at DEF CON. Robbie and I were jamming in the hallway. He'd brought his modular, and I brought like my OPZ and my laser theremin and a couple other sound sound things, and we were just having a blast.
Yeah. So did you guys record that?
We did it, and the primary reason, I mean, there's a few photos and things, but the primary reason is like folks are really sensitive about filming and photography at DEF CON.
Yeah.
So, also there's just a lot of people. But it was the first time I'd actually bothered to, I think 10 minutes before I left, I tried this out where I have a module in the back called the OP Lab. So this is modular related. And so you pull off the back by turning all these rubber feet, which is kind of horrible, but also clever. Good job, teenage engineering. And there's the module itself. It's that yellow piece. So it goes in and out like a Game Boy cartridge or something. And they have different modules. Like there's one that vibrates, but I like this one because it had some CV and MIDI out capabilities. But this is the first time I'd set it to full-on CV and clock out and in so that we could sync up our systems. Like the first night, Robbie's clock was in charge. The second night, this clock was in charge, and this had a voice both nights. But it was just a lot of fun because between Robbie's Eurorack, we had tons of people playing with the various modules on there to get some crazy sound effects. Like the BIA was particularly popular because it's easy to really go from like mellow to gnarly. And on this I had this sort of set to mostly drums, but I because when I was clocking it, it meant folks could use the performance features. So basically I'd be like, hey, push any of these buttons while you're playing and cool stuff will happen. So like drum repeats and fills and all sorts of stuff like that were happening, and it was just a blast. But the funniest part was like the cables were heavier than this whole thing, so it was like dragging it around a lot. Yeah, so that's the first time I've literally tested out for like 2 seconds before I left the house, grabbed a bunch of cables. I assumed Robbie wouldn't bring all the same color cables as me, but that was not the case. We all had the same color cables. Not yellow. Like my Eurorack cables are all white because the yellow in Eurorack cables is kind of it's a nice like springy flower yellow. Like it's a little bit lighter usually. At least the ones I have.
Yeah.
Like for comparison, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but like in this light, but the skinny one is slightly different. But
yeah, it's a little softer.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's just most of mine are white. It's a little more contrast. Anyway, we always talk about cables and stuff. Yeah, so that was the first time I'd ever touched a Eurorack in front of other people.
Okay.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
Or played
really
with
cool.
somebody else's Eurorack. Like it was fun to like sort of jam around and see like what kind of things are functioning. Like actually check out the sequencer and things like that.
So he had the black sequencer there?
Yeah, I had the black sequencer, a handful of voices, and one of the really really cool things that we did was I'd brought this laser theremin badge. Oh yeah, I wish I got more time on the Black Sea. But I brought this laser theremin badge, which only makes like really bad noise. Robbie immediately put it through a delay. And then I was like, hey, we should gate that delay to the beat. And we gated it so that it's basically silent until somebody went over to the laser theremin and made some noise. And then it was like instant gated, and we changed the gate intervals, but people were like DJing that thing like crazy. It was pretty cool. So we had like people DJing the laser theremin, people like even like kids and goons and all sorts of people playing on the Eurorack modules, and then like somebody usually messing with the drums. It was pretty fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah, Robbie has the link. There's no excuse. Yeah, so that was really fun.
So how was it with working on a system that you weren't familiar with?
Well, it was. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't too bad at all. Like, I feel like if no one else would have been there, I would have had some sick heck jams in like 5 minutes. But because there were so many people, it was more like getting to know just a handful of modules that are more performative, and that was about it. Like, I didn't mess too much with the sequencers. I played with some of them. Like, I have a good feel for some of them. I have no idea what they're called. Like, there's one that's it's more like a drum. It's a trigger sequencer, but like just rotating a knob can change the number of triggers, almost like a Euclidean circles one, but it's not circles. It's always on in 4/4 of some sort, like some pattern within 4/4, at least from what I saw. Yeah, the dot, that one's sick. I never really got the hang of the bass or the Erica Black sequencer because it was just like the last thing on my mind, I guess, at the time. But I played with some of the sound sources, which I really loved. Like I've got to build that baseline module. I've got it, most of the parts. That one was just a beast of a machine all in one. And there was another one.
Is that the Erica Synths one?
Yeah, the Erica Synths baseline.
Yeah.
And Forstein and Nelson, they sent me the PCB for that, so I'm gonna crank that out sometime in the future. It's been a really busy, like, I don't know how many weekends right now. So I don't know when I'll build that, but that's really high on my list. Enthusiastic Electrons. Okay, so it's the DNI Pro Dot for anyone listening later. And it ruled, to be honest. That's what we're using to sequence, I think both the laser theremin and maybe something else. I think also maybe like the hits, like the hi-hat hits and stuff like that. Like there was one module that was, no, it wasn't hi-hat, it was a snare, but it was like kind of an awesome snare. I don't remember what module that one was, but it was fun to play with. Yeah, we just, like, there was no planning. It was like, let's connect, like, things were making sound when I walked up and we just started, like, plugging stuff in. So it was chaos, but it came out pretty good, pretty quick.
Very cool. Were there other people there with their own equipment too? Or is it just you two?
You know, I don't think as much, no audio equipment that I remember, but, like, somebody had this crazy bike helmet with LEDs all over it. As you can imagine, it was very magical. And he comes up and, like, pulls it off, jacks it in, like, takes an audio out from the mixer, and the thing is, like, lighting up and beating to the music. Like, it's doing all sorts of cool stuff to the music. It was super cool. So there were a few moments like that where there were some audio reactive LEDs and things like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. Like, all ages showed up. Like, there was a kid probably, like, I don't know, 8 to 10, somewhere in that range, jamming on it for a while. Nope, somebody did show up. I almost forgot. Somebody had brought their laptop out and were doing some, like, just jacked in and making sounds on that. I can't remember if we gated or not, but that was pretty cool too. It was just kind of funny. It was rad. Too many band members to remember. Also, it was really late. Yeah, so that's. I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
I think we should, within reason, organize some, like, local small meetups and do some stuff like that. Like Robbie's showing up, but Robbie was mentioning maybe meeting up and doing that again, and I for sure would pack that entire thing in my car and go. That was a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, we would record the other one. We would record anything in future for sure, or stream it if we can. Yeah, it was so cool. Like, Enthusiastic Electrons, it was so cool. Like, we didn't expect any of this stuff, but there were so many people who came in and, like, nerded out about audio stuff at a security conference. And I was just thinking, like, I hope none of Robbie's modules have any Bluetooth or Wi-Fi capability. I don't think so. I think the closest, I mean, there's Bluetooth on this, but I don't think it broadcasts unless I tell it to, so hopefully it's fine, but whatever. It seems to still work. Yeah. So that was the DEF CON thing. Oh, here we go. We have a third person, maybe.
All right.
Here, I'll put some names up. There we go. Enthusiastic Electrons, when are you gonna join again? I know you've been busy lately too.
Yeah, come on, join us. Hey, it's
Come
Robbie.
on.
How's it going?
I'm just gonna send the link over for peer pressure.
Hey, Robbie.
Hold on, just a sec.
I'll keep talking about it because it was a really amazing experience. I'll keep talking while you're doing stuff.
Okay.
It was really cool. I realize my video isn't working, but
That's
I'm
all
in
right.
audio mode. It was really exciting to share clock, but it was more exciting to be there in person with another human. And so I completely had no ability to think or plan. So it was just pure instinct. But like I'd really love to like even if we just took like 10 minutes and just decided, hey, you do a drum beat and I'll do a bass line or work out something. But it was so much fun that I went crazy and I couldn't I like we just went right away, but it would have been so much cooler if I could have like resisted the urge to jump in right away.
If we had spent like literally 10 minutes like coming up with even like a bass line or something, like
Yeah, just
a
any amount of
pitch.
planning.
I mean, it sounded really good because we tended toward more atonal stuff, but in a good techno way, or house, or I don't even know. But yeah, like I think the second day I was pretty excited, and I took like a 30-minute break at some point for lunch and programmed in a bit of a beat on the OPZ and showed up with that, and there was no like, just go, let's do it, instantly live. It was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really fun.
it was really cool because I remember at one point I was talking about the Shannon Nyquist frequency with people, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm kind of getting technical. And they were like, no, I know what you're talking about. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, we had all types there, like goons who are essentially like DEF CON security or performing other tasks there, like furries, kids, adults, like people covered in LEDs, people really like quiet people. I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely liked when the furries came by. There were like 5 people in really elaborate furry costumes, and they kind of hung out for a little while. It's
And
pretty cool.
we were like, okay, how can we get a furry to play this, right? Because like Eurorack knobs are like this big, and a furry's finger is like the size of my fist. So like, that was challenging. We got him on the what's that one with the big buttons that I'm forgetting the name of?
Oh, the performer with
The
the
performer.
heads. Yeah, they started pushing those
okay.
buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fox or I forget what animals they were. I think one was a skunk. I can't remember.
I think there was a skunk. I don't even think Cosmo's like, I think that's even too small outside of maybe like this button, but those costumes are huge.
You need to adapt one of those floor pads and adapt that so they have controls.
You know, that's not a bad idea. I wonder if I could make like a real DIY crappy one that like would be easy to roll out.
Yeah. So I know, I don't know how he did it, but Alex from WMD, maybe two years ago, when they had their second annual event in person, he made these like pyramids, really tall pyramids, and they had touch points all over. And then he ran all the cables then into his system, and it was designed so people could come up and play with it. And there's a lot of kids there that would come and interact with it. So I know it's doable. I just don't know how.
And now is WMD Alex like Nasty Nacho?
Yeah, Nasty Nachos.
Man, I'm gonna have to that guy and see. Like, I don't like. It'd be cool to borrow that, but like, I'm more interested in finding out like who made it and how hard it was.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's too difficult, but I have bad imagination. Which serves me well. Yeah.
Yeah, but that whole getting together and just jamming with people, you know, it's I got a chance to do that again, you know, 2 years ago for a SoCal Synth Society meetup, and we basically had, you know, Travarsi set up, and she had her setup going where she was doing drums, and then we had Wild Mike had set up his station, and then there was a grandmother at another side, and basically you were just, you know, walk up and experiment.
That's rad. Like, I would love to be. You know what I've been thinking about, like, in hooking multiple systems up? Like, I started thinking about this before Def Colin, Robbie, and I were, like, toying with the ideas of going, but, like, what if there's, like, 3 to 5 people, right? All sharing a clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, like, if there's a way to do it where you can perform somewhat like a DJ would, where, I have the megaphone effect on. Oh, I definitely do. Sorry about that. Yeah, anyway, somewhat like a DJ where maybe you're only hearing like two of the people, 1 or 2 of the people playing. Like, basically I want to be able to, while Robbie's performing some riff or something, I want to be able to basically mute everything for the audience, and then
Right.
and then with my headphones be able to like come up with some new tasty beats and stuff, or bass lines or whatever that then you can like pull in and out. Like, I think that would be pretty fun.
Well, actually, so I was thinking about that. That could totally work, because I don't know what mixer you guys use, but the mixer I have, every channel has 3 positions. It has main mix, it has off, and then it has Q, which can just go just to the headphones, or you can control the headphones from the Q mix to the main mix. So effectively, I could be doing something and only hear it in my headphones, and it would never go to the mains. And then when I like what I created, all I have to do is flick it to the main position, and now that channel goes to mains. Is that kind of like what you're describing?
Similar, yeah. So like what I can tell you how my mixer works. I have like 5 stereo outs. Well, no, 7 stereo outs, but 5 of them are headphone specific. And I can, for all 5, I guess it's just 5 channels, but for all 5 of those channels, I can set them to master or their own mix. And their own mix can be anything. So the master would be the one necessarily like sort of piping out to the audience, right? And if you mute them, they're still piping out to the audience, but I would still be able to hear like my stuff. What's a little chaotic with that is I might also hear other people's stuff that aren't in the master mix. So I don't know. Like, it works with 2 people real easy. 3, it starts to get a little bit tricky, I think, on my mixer. But that's something I think could be figured out pretty fast in person.
Yeah, Benjamin is saying pre-fade listen and a crossfade.
And a crossfade, yeah, like a cue. Like, I guess DJ mixers are probably much better for this kind of thing versus like mine's just it's a Zoom L12, which is not even close to a DJ mixer. I did see, I don't know, there's I forget that guy's name. There's somebody on YouTube who's like building their own mixer, and it sounds like it's going to be sort of a combo of DJ mixer and like a recording mixer, which might be like sweet spot. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that.
That mixer that's being built, is it a Euro rack mixer, or is it a normal line level thing?
This guy has all sorts of gear, so I think it's going to be outboard gear, not Eurorack. Sorry, Robbie. But
I mean, I think once you get to that size, you need some outboard gear to to handle it, and someone.
It probably wouldn't be that hard of a module to make. I don't know. I'm gonna think about that. That might be a totally reasonable module to make, like a few crossfaders in one module, which is hard on Eurorack, but like in Cosmo format, no problem. No offense. There's sliders, like faders take space. Or maybe they're diagonal in Eurorack. I don't know.
That's the extra module you got to add on.
Yeah, I mean, I need another tier like that high somewhere for all the extra stuff I want to build. I'm at the point where it's like I need to either build, like, complete another power supply for my other case and get serious about that, or just be sad every time I build a new module, because it means I have to figure out what module goes, and I love all of these modules right now except for maths. So there's definitely room for Eurorack. I think
you said you don't love math?
It's going, like, it hasn't been plugged in like 3 months, so it's not that I don't like it, I just don't use it. So I'll probably replace it with the baseline, and whatever space is left, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Yeah, neither do I. We're like the no math trio. Look at this. This is going to be great.
Turns out Schmooster was right all along. Waiting months to hear that. I mean, maths is great, but like I don't need it. Like I have plenty of function generators and LFOs and things like that that I would normally use it for. I've got mixers. The thing I liked about it was sort of some CV mixing and stuff, but there's that tip-top audio, or is it I think it's tip-top, what is it called? It's something food related, but I don't remember. Like wasabi or something, I don't know. Anyway, there's some module they have that serves that function. It's like $100 that I might just get, but anyway. Other envelope generators. My envelope generators are actually the sickest envelope generators ever, so deal with it. They're sick because not only do they have this momentary on switch, I can flip it all the way on. Right now, I had it set to pretty fast EQ, envelope, but there's tag, decay, sustain, release, right? But I can do gate loop and loop. So loop turns it into an interesting LFO, and if I crank up the speed a little bit. So like, and there's also the gate loop, so that's like as long as I hold it down, it'll loop, which is really nice to sort of crank that up. Anyway, that's my envelope generator. Really basic, but sick.
I have a similar module. It's called the Nano Quart, and it's 8 HP, and it has 4 envelope generators in it, and each one has 2 knobs, attack and decay. And by default, if there's nothing plugged in, they loop, right? So it's just an interesting LFO generator thing. But if you plug something in, it can take a trigger, and then it follows those. And actually, there's a 3-way switch to go from short, medium, and long envelope length. So you can make a lot of different lengths of envelopes. So I have
That's
those 4.
so clever. I really like the switched jack functionality, where if nothing's plugged in, it's just a regular LFO.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's super smart. And then I actually only have one ADSR, but that's because typically I either need only attack and release, or I have 2 of the modules I have built-in envelope generators. So
Yes. Yeah, the built-in envelope generators are really nice on some of them, especially, yeah. I really like having, I would say most of the time I don't need an ADSR, I need like an attack release, like you said, like probably just release on most things. But for like the bass, I think lowering the sustain a bit makes the bass just like super thumpy.
Yeah, I agree. There's something to be said for ADSR, but I think I agree with you on the other part that like 99% of the time, I just need some release. I just
Yep.
need a little bit of slew on that trigger. I'm good to
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally. And as far as slew goes, that was what I was using maths for initially, like crazy. But then somebody on the Look Mom No Computer forums came out with this beautiful set up here, and I have some down here of different like sort of utility modules, and I got 2 of each, but there's 2 glide modules that are always in use. There's also 2 sub-oscillator modules that are always in use. Yeah, I love glide. Like, even on this bass. Like, just a little bit of glide sometimes. Feels so good. Anyway. Slew.
Yeah, the Erica Synth Black sequencer has a pretty interesting and pretty capable glide thing, but I find it just a little bit confusing to use. I mean, it's not nonsense, but it's a little bit counterintuitive to the way I want to use it. I can't even describe how it works, but it takes some fiddling to make it work just right. But when you glide between notes, it can add a lot of character. I love that.
Yeah, it totally changes the character of the sequence. But I also find glide is similar to ADSR, where I only need like if this is the scale of gliding, I only need like this much most of the time, like off or like slightly on.
Yeah.
Occasionally that changes if I'm like, okay, let's have a siren, like ooh, like that's. I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tools where a little goes a long way, and yeah, it's fun to do some silly extremes, but musically, you just need that little bit to just kind of give it a different sound than your staccato type notes constantly playing.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm just gonna call him Clyde now, especially if it's like a not super great glide module. That's going to be my Clyde module. You have like slew, which is like very, I don't know, that sounds like technical and sewage sort of term. And you've got glide, so it's gliding between notes. And there's portamento, which I guess if you're Italian it sounds great. But Clyde, that's the sweet spot.
Clyde Drexler, man. There we go.
Yeah.
We need a quad Clyde.
The quad Clyde. That's too many Clydes. You only need 2 at max. Yeah, I think more than 2 glides should be. I don't know. I only ever use 2, and I rarely turn them on at the same time. Trying to think of what are the other useful things. Like I do have this thing could go. I have an attack release generator that we were just talking about, but because it's almost never plugged in, I don't know. The reason I had it was for when I turned the synth into a giant. What's the name of that thing? The drummer from Another Mother. It helps to have 2 different ADSRs or envelopes for drums on the same voice. One for filter, one for the pitch. Delta V is 2 channels with a shareable trigger. Ooh. Tri-Clyde, triple Clyde.
Tri-Clyde is a boss from the video game Super Mario Brothers 2. He's a 3-headed snake.
Well, that's what it has to be, because like think about how cool that definitely not copyright infringing module could be. Only 2 are real people. It's yeah, that's sick. Yeah, the Tri-Clyde only has 2.
Has 2, yeah.
I love it. Why is it called Tri-Clyde if there's only 2? The best meme. Yeah, what could you even do with 3? Like 3, who needs more than 64K of memory, right?
Right.
I don't know, like, I guess if you have like long siren, short sort of chipper happy sounding, a little bit of glide lead, and maybe like medium amount of Clyde on a bass line. I don't know. That feels like a lot of stuff though that's getting muddy at that point.
I've done a lot of experimentation with really slow envelopes, like because I thought it would be really cool if the envelope, I'm talking about a cycle, an LFO cycle of like, it takes like more than a couple minutes. And I thought it'd be
Right.
really cool to put that on the cutoff on the filter on my bass.
Uh-huh.
But it turns out I'm just not patient enough with my own patching, and I try it and I'm like, well, that's stupid, and I always make it a lot shorter. Have you guys ever
Yeah.
done anything like that and it been successful?
Yes, but I want to tell you about my fails that I don't usually talk about. Because I've done that too, exactly on the filter for a baseline. It might have been a drone too. I've tried it multiple times, and I've done this twice, where I set a really long envelope, and then I can never just get the filter dialed in. Like sometimes it goes too low or too high,
Right.
and it never occurs to me until like a week later that I should just speed up the LFO, dial it in, and then slow the LFO way down.
You
I'm
try to
like
dial it
literally
in,
waiting
it's
like
really
3
slow.
minutes, and I'm like, this is terrible.
You spend all that time with the really slow LFO trying to dial it in, and you're like, oh wait, I should have just made it faster to dial it in. That's
Yeah, what
funny.
am I doing watching YouTube at 1x? I could be watching it at 1.75x. Like, save some minutes here.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have been successful with it. I find it works really well on, at least for the patches I've done for lower tempo, like drone, mellow stuff, that kind of thing. And it's really subtle, which is almost the problem. If it's too subtle, who's going to notice but you?
Right. And that's kind of where I land at, is where I'll try something and it's just really subtle and only I know that it's happening. So then I think, like, why bother? And I just get rid of it.
Yeah. Another thing that happened to me with it a couple times was sometimes, like, I'll be messing with the filter just a little bit after I've got it all set up and going, and I'll forget, like, there's that really slow LFO going, so I'll like raise the filter a little bit too high, and then that LFO will start raising the filter, like turning it, like opening up the filter a bit to the point where it sounds like I'm about to do a drop, and I'm nowhere near like capable of doing a drop on that particular track. So it's like getting real amped up, and then it starts going down again, and you're like, ah, it's the worst feeling. Anyway, that's super slow stuff. I also like the idea of, like, somebody mentioned like a solar cycle, like an LFO based on like your relative position to the moon. I guess a lunar cycle, not solar. That would be kind of cool too. I wouldn't have the patience for that one though. Unless it's like
Yeah,
controlling the clock speed just a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you do. You set it up so that the clock speed speeds up when the moon is further from you, or maybe when the sun is further from you. No, when it's closer. I don't know. Whenever you want to get hyped, you set it up that way.
Or just add a switch so then you can select further or farther.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Further or closer.
Yeah, that way at night it like mellows down a bit. During the day,
Well, there
it
you
picks
go.
up the tempo.
Or have it follow the tides.
Yeah. I watched a video last night because I made the mistake of just going down like a YouTube click hole, and I saw some guy do like a crazy slow-mo video. It was like 1 second was 90,000 frames, so it would take exactly an hour to watch a second of footage. Which, that would be super awful to go through that video and edit. Like, if you record for 30 seconds on accident, that's 30 hours of footage. But one of the cool things is they actually like uploaded like a full 1 second, so 1 hour video of them like falling into a swimming pool, and you like it doesn't look like anything's really moving. Like water's like sort of sparkling a little bit, like a sculpture almost, but like if you scrub through, you can see the whole thing like happen.
Right.
It might be cool with a track to have that kind of progression where like if you're listening to it live, you don't notice much change, but like if you like skip ahead like 15 minutes, like you can hear like a very noticeable change in the track. Anyway,
That's really interesting. That's fascinating. I don't have the patience to do something like that, but I really appreciate when somebody does.
yeah, like sort of like if you slowed down a Schmooster track to like 10% speed and then listen to it, it would have that kind of dynamic change.
You should make your CV based on whatever the hold music is doing on
Oh my God.
EMS.
That is a great idea. How have I not done that? Wait, the problem is I wouldn't be able to stream it unless, well, maybe I could play, yeah, I would just find a recorded old hold music so that I could stream it, because once I start streaming, then it's my music. But I could
Right.
also use my music, like that could be a looper effect, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
It'd
kind of
be
like a weird, smart form of feedback.
yeah. Yeah. Like how long would I have to wait for it to actually start getting into the crazy feedback pitches? Like a day or something. Might not even be that fast. Anyway, put that experiment a different day, but that's cool. I like that idea though, because it sort of saves, like I can do the Zoom echo myself without being on Zoom. When I say the Zoom echo, I'm talking about when you're in a meeting with somebody and they've got like no headphones and big speakers and you hear like everybody talking multiple times back. Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
And then everybody goes, I can hear myself. I can hear myself.
Yeah. Can you still hear yourself? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I think I could maybe deal with it as long as I don't speak. It's only horrible when I hear myself speak. All right. Music stuff. We talked actually kind of a lot about modules. You know what else I'm thinking is possibly swapping the mat, like selling the maths and getting another rample, which would mean the bass line wouldn't live here because I don't have that much room, I don't think. But I'm sort of digging the rample on drums right now. Like that's what is the only real drums you heard a second ago was just some good old.
And
it
all
could
of
be
those,
anything, you know.
all of those drum sounds are triggered through MIDI, right?
Yes, they're triggered through MIDI and they're chainable through MIDI because there's a nice little MIDI through, I think TRRS. So I could just get a very short cable and go right to the next one. So it would be a very tidy drum setup because I just pull the MIDI through out of here or here and go right over there, and that's it. Like that's the Eurorack drums.
Let me ask you this: why do you need a second one though? Don't you have like 8 or 16 sounds on a single rample?
That's a hard question to answer. Yes, I have 4 sounds. So there's essentially 4 drum tracks per rample. If you have stereo audio in there, it goes down to 2. For whatever reason. So like the reason I want to is so that one can be sort of full-time, like the drum essentials, like the best of drums, where I cycle between various drum sets. And the second one would be like like some of my favorites up here. Just a second. Like these friends. Furbies,
I love
like
those. Those are classic, instant
like
classics.
yeah, like because they're fun to like really mangle, or like with the like I don't know. So I think having one on full-time drums, the second one potentially as additional drums when I'm really feeling D and B, or more likely just like other sound effects and things like that.
Have you looked into the 1010 Music Bitbox and Bitbox Micro? Because those can do either 16 or 8 samples all at once.
No, I haven't. I should look into them. I guess what I sort of like about the Rample is that there is a good amount of control. Like I've been learning it better and performing more with the thing as I play, and I'll check it out. But I really want there to be like a lot of audio mangling controls, performative controls, that kind of thing. I'm trying to replace the need to bring my drum brute impact on the road because the thing is sick sounding. Although I think that through actual proper PA system would like blow my brain out. It'd be amazing. Like the bass on it, just like when I put on my nerdy subwoofer vest, it like shakes me.
Or you have like a sub pack thing or something?
I do. I actually liked it so much. I pre-ordered the new one like a year and a half or something ago, maybe longer, but you know, chip shortages and stuff. The new one you'll probably see more. I like the new one because it could be a chair or a backpack, or and it has a lot more nicer wireless capabilities. This one doesn't have any wireless, I don't think. Might be Bluetooth, but that's so delayed and laggy, it's unusable. Don't do Bluetooth, not even once.
Not even once. Hey, Bartok, what do you have for samples?
I don't really do a lot. Well, I guess for like my drum samples, I have the Erica Pico drums.
Oh yeah, the Pico Drum 1 is a sample based thing. The 2 is, I think, analog synthesis,
Yeah,
but the first one is samples, right?
Yeah, the first one is samples. So I have 2 of those, and then I guess technically too the 2 HP Play.
Yeah.
I can have samples on that.
Yeah.
But I don't do a lot of stuff with samples other than the Pico drums.
Right. Another thing I could do is get a couple Pico drums, and just to be like a kick drum and a snare or something, so that I can turn the Rample into Furbies when I need to.
Right.
And then I probably would have room for like the bass line or something like that. So there's options. I particularly like MIDI for drums though. Like I gotta say, it's really nice.
Yeah. The only annoying thing about the Pico drum is that the USB connection. Well, first you need a special little programmer, which I have here.
Yep.
And it plugs in.
Yeah.
It plugs into the back of the unit, so you have to remove it to connect it to your computer and load samples on. And I kind of wish that somebody would come up with like a little module that would let you run it as like a little 2 HP module or something. But you need this device.
Right. So I don't quite have that, but with the big honking button, which is also a sampler, set to a goose by default, which is the perfect sound. It also can be, like, you put a different sample on via USB, but it's also on the back, and not just because of the custom panel, that's just where it is. And I think that's pretty common on many of the samplers I saw when I was looking. The Ramples is notably on the front with an SD card, which is fantastic. It's similar to the Morphogene, where you could pop it out. Although the Morphogene, I don't know what they did, but they made it very performative. Like, you can pop out and in the SD card while you're playing to do, like, as a performative thing in the Morphogene.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like if you want to, like, keep something in memory or keep from overwriting something on your SD card. I forget what there was, but there was some cool thing about pulling the SD card. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that with a rample or not. I think you probably shouldn't do that most of the time. The rample is a monster though. Like that, I can't speak enough praises. I think some folks have had issues with it. I have not. Like I think that person's name that does like video gamey sounding music. Hold on, just a second. I want to say their name because they're cool. Where am I even looking? Oh, right. I put all of my... I don't remember. But it's like... anyway. There's some person that had problems with the SD card slowly failing over time, like samples sort of decaying on the rample.
That's really weird. That's a strange problem.
Yeah, that's...
I wonder if it's narrowed down to specific. If it was narrowed down to specific SD card.
Well, it was the SD card that came with it, but I think they tried out different SD cards too. I suspect it's a software issue of some sort, or maybe like power and software or something. I don't know. I haven't had that. My Furbies still sound like Furbies. But backed up though, in case bad stuff happens.
Robbie, do you use a sampler?
Yeah, the reason I brought up the 1010 music is I just last week got a Bitbox Micro.
Oh, okay.
I'm impressed. Like I'm just barely scratching the surface with it. So like I really don't know what I'm doing. But you can live record samples. You can trim samples very easily. You can do low pass filters and high pass filters, and you can adjust the gain and the pitch. And there's 8 CV inputs, and they're configurable to do potentially anything. So you could trigger notes with them. You could send pitch, you could send a trigger, or you could send CV that could control any parameter on the sequence on the sampler. But I'm just barely figuring out how to make my own useful recordings of samples. Like basically my plan is to use it for drums. I want to make my own drum sounds and then load them in and have these kind of cool drum kits. But yeah, I've never done anything with any sampling at all. So this is completely new territory for me. And it speaks MIDI, which means I have to get something that speaks MIDI because it can do like polyphony as well.
And for those watching,
the Bitbox. Sorry.
I'm just going to show it while we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the Bitbox
No.
Micro.
Mine doesn't have. Yeah. Oh, that is mine. Yeah, that is exactly what I have.
Yeah. So, why are you opening in a new tab? What the? Open in this tab.
Yeah, it's definitely really powerful. From I've seen demos of it, and it seems really well thought out, but it's also really deep. Like it's got a lot of features, and
I thought the menu thing was going to bug me more than it did. It's not too deep, but it's definitely not something that you're going to be playing with live. Like you definitely have to preset it, and then use it. So that's like the only module I have that really doesn't play live well.
Yeah. Why'd you go with the Micro versus the MK2?
Because it's smaller, and the Mark II has 16 samples simultaneously, and I was like, I don't think I need 16 different samples. 8 should be sufficient, especially when those 8 can be polyphonic. Each one can be mini.
I agree with you. Hey Antone, I think 8 is a really nice number of samples, because samples are kind of hard to maintain. There's some mental overhead there. And they're never the easiest. Like there are certainly easier ways to manipulate them, and the Bitbox sounds great. But I also, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, that's why they called it the Micro, because it's gigantic.
Yeah, the original Bitbox and the Bitbox Mark II or
Yeah.
they're pretty big.
They're like the size of the NerdSec or something. Like they're pretty massive modules. They're cool. I did look into those as well. I did like all of the inputs you can do, and the Rample does have 4 CV ins that I can assign to different things. So just about any of the things that it can manipulate can be assigned to CV input, which is kind of cool too. It also, I think there's trigger outs, I want to say. Yeah, there's gate inputs, and no, there's gate inputs as well, and for those of you who don't like MIDI, and individual audio outs. But I don't like that the individual audio outs pull the audio out of the mix out.
Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, I noticed that on the Bitbox Micro, it has 8 individual outputs, and you can assign the audio to any output, but they always come out of the main mix, whatever that's called. So you can
Right.
always assign an output to everything.
Right, like sometimes I want to take that output and like maybe mangle it as like decorative extra noise or something, but I want to keep the main mix the same, like a kick drum or something. Like maybe I don't want the kick drum to be pulled out of the mix, but maybe I want to use it as a as the input for my duck, my endorphins cockpit 2 or whatever. So like that was something I tried and immediately was bummed. And I wonder, like, it might be a hardware switch where there's it's a switching jack, or it might be software. I'm hoping it's software, so it can just be a setting later, but I would almost bet a hardware switch is what it is. But I guess I could just, like, let's see, I could probably bypass it. Like, I don't know.
Well, you can also mult the output. You could mult the audio and just send it to 2 places. But that's, let me do it in the module. Come on.
Yeah, come on, save me 3 cables or something. Yeah, so the A1352 has selected and all, which gives both styles. See, I appreciate that. That's a nice touch. I don't know. Like, I get why when you pull the drum boot does that too, which ticked me off for similar reasons. If I take audio out of, like, there's individual outs for I think 4 of the drums, it pulls them out of the main mix. But why would you ever do that? Because the drum brute is sick. Anyway.
The drum brute does sound good.
Like, people either like it or hate it, and I very much do not hate it.
I like it. I think we've talked about it before. I'm extremely, extremely lukewarm about the snare drum. Oh,
the snare drum. Yeah, it's the most mediocre snare drum. But you've got a snare drum module. You're covered. Although your snare drum's, like, I think has similar problems, but is actually a lot more performative and nice. So, like, it's
but that guy might leave my case permanently if I start using samples.
If you get like a really nice drum hit sample, like, oops. I don't even know what I was on, like A0 or something, or I don't know. Let's try that. No. Like that hits pretty good. Let's turn it to like that's about as hard hitting as that snare gets. Not the same.
Have you ever taken the snare drum out of that drum brute? Because that's the drum brute impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever taken the snare drum out and put it through like a bit crusher or something to like really make it aggressive?
No, I think what I would do is I would take it through something noisier. So maybe like I run it through the rat distortion module with the gain like pretty low, just enough to like make it a little gnarlier, and then run it through maybe a filter, and I would have this set to like the longest setting for like the best, like, so it's more like an audio source, and then I would do some envelopes on both the filter and the voltage controlled amplifier. Yeah, I don't know, that could be fun. I could also do it through it'd probably also get pretty sick through the data bender if I cranked up that corrupt setting.
Oh yeah, that could be really
and
good too.
Put an envelope on that too. The impact is mostly liked. The drum brute though, yeah, the drum brute. I think they just didn't quite get enough distortion with the drum brute. But with the drum brute impact, I didn't realize I had the settings all wrong for the longest time. Like, if you really want like distortion, you turn the volume way up, and then it gets like pretty gnarly pretty fast.
Ooh, that sounds so French. I love it.
Disgusting. Yeah. So. Yeah, and both of them have the best and worst cowbell I've ever. Yep.
That's not a cowbell.
You talking about it sounds exactly like a cowbell. I live near cows. I hear this all day. It's a perfect cowbell. The kicks are terrible on the original. If you're gonna make a drum mod, like anything, the kick needs to be so good that it could sell by itself.
Yep, that is an unforgivable sin. If you do not have a good kick, you do not have a good drum machine. That's all there is to it.
Right, and if you want people to love it, you got to have a good kick and a good snare. I almost guarantee some of the hate on the drum brute impact is because like just doesn't.
I mean, it's not horrible. It's not disgusting. I don't hate
No.
it. It's an awesome thing. It's just that sometimes you're like, wow, I really want like a really cool, aggressive snare, and it's like, well, that's not going to happen in the drum brute impact.
Right.
It's not snappy at all.
Right, and even like Jamie's mentioning in the chat, like the drum brute impacts FM drum. This thing, like, let's go ahead and do a bit of a. I don't want anything else to play. I just want that. Anyway, the FM drum is like the most fun to play ever.
I mean, have you ever played with a Chemy's Tycho? That module. It's all about FM, but it's designed to make percussive sounds. It's really, really crazy. It's really fun.
That sounds like a blast. Someone get one. Let's party. EMS Jam Fall 2021. What are we gonna call it? Before the fifth wave. Something like that. Let's do something.
Fourth wave?
Fourth wave? I don't know what wave we're on because that's how many waves we've had. Stay at home, wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Everybody, please. Oh yeah, please do a stream session. I will be doing stream sessions. I don't know when. Probably later this week. This weekend, maybe, but I'm sort of feeling like going into the wilderness for a couple days.
Nice.
To not look at screens. There's no way I'm bringing synthesizers with me. Just the idea of like turning a potentiometer and hearing the grind of desert sand in there is just not my thing. Everything is waves, that's true. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah, that was y'all are the best. Sorry, I've missed the last couple of weeks. I'm still trying to figure out like a good time. Wednesdays have been like the worst possible day for the last few weeks. And the weekends have been full, so I haven't been able to switch to the weekend because I would like at least like 2 weekends in a row for me to go to like weekend times. I think post-September probably, so that we can get folks in Europe on. But I'm going to try to go for next week too, so let's do it. Hit me up if you want to be on. Antone, I'm looking at you. Enthusiastic Electrons. Let's see who else is watching that I can definitely
Schmooster.
not guilt into this. Schmooster for sure. Yeah, Jamie, just hit me up in Discord. It's not like it costs anything. Only your time and audio equipment. But hey, send me a phone too. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna play us out, and I think I'm just gonna go with what I had because I kind of sort of was digging that first one.
I love that EMS phone.
What was that?
I love that EMS phone.
It's so good.
If you ever make a music video, that better be featured prominently.
And especially with that fisheye camera, like, it looks so cool, Bartok. Red was a good choice.
Yeah. I love it.
You can't tell, but it lights up too. I'll put a switch on the side.
Oh, here we go. Hold on, I'll fix that real quick.
Check it out. Watch this. Yeah, when you take it off the receiver, it lights up. And there's no resistor or anything between the LED and the watch battery, so I don't know. Maybe pick a brighter.
Who knows how long it'll last?
Yeah, it's probably fine. It's only taped in there, so easy. It should be fine. It wasn't like I think you can run it till that, but for a long time. All right.
Yeah, play us out.
Yeah. What was I doing?